All right, I wanted to quick run you through how to do multiple commits in a single merge request. This is best practice for any changes that you're making to the handbook or any page on the GitLab website. So it's important to understand how to do that and do it efficiently. So here we are in the GitLab repo, and we're just going to scroll down following what I call breadcrumbs to the page that we're actually going to be wanting to edit. So we're just going to be going into one of my test pages under the marketing ops section. So we're navigating all the way down into the directory, and you see up here it's leaving some breadcrumbs because in case I wanted to navigate back up, that is an easy way to identify where I am. Also, when you're on the actual website, the slug up in the URL, that actually tells you where the directory is located. So this one is in handbook. So you go to source handbook, then BizOps, and then there's a directory called resources. So again, following these breadcrumbs are also the way you can navigate to the pages and the directories within the actual repo to make the changes that you need to make. So to start off with, we're just going to go into my test page, and we're just going to click in and hit edit. So the first change that we're going to make, you do want to just make the one single change, and then you're going to do a commit message, modify your target branch, and open your first part of the MR, and then we're going to navigate back to the branch, and then we're going to continue making changes. So let me show you how that works. So here we are. We're going to just add a new section. So we've added our new section. We're going to click down into the commit message. So we're going to say add new section on wanting to use column. The commit message, and the reason why it's super important to always modify it, is when somebody's looking at the page history of the changes that were made to a specific directory page, you want to give them high-level details of what change you made, and so they don't have to click into it. Because if every single commit just said updated index.html.md, if we needed to find a change that broke the formatting on the page, we'd have to literally click into every single commit, and that wastes a lot of time. So changing the commit message is best practice, and it is absolutely important that you change it. Once the commit is made, you cannot go back and change the commit message unless you delete the entire branch and commit and then go do it again, which then wastes your time. So first time through, make sure you are updating that commit message, because it will save you time in the future, and it'll also make sure that you're doing your commits and MRs accurately. So here we are, we've modified our commit message. I do always modify this target branch to be something self-identifiable to me. Mine always starts with marketing ops dash and then just the branch of what I'm changing. Since this is an example video, that's why it's just as an example. But if I was like updating the SDR page, it would be like marketing ops dash SDR update or dash sales territories or whatever I was changing. You can come up with your own naming convention. A lot of people use their initials and then dash whatever they're making the edit to. But find what works for you and you can stick with it. Otherwise, you can just leave it as that patch dash whatever default branch that was provided for you. You do want to keep this box checked. And so now we're just going to say commit message or commit changes. This is going to take us to the MR screen, so we can actually fill out and start that MR and start the pipeline running. So here we are, and recently we added this default text to the MR because it's really important to explain why you're making these changes so other people who may be assigned your MR to merge understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. Also, it's really important to communicate the why to other people who may not be involved in your department, but they come across your MR and being like, oh, what is this? This is interesting. And so then they can see what changes were being made. Also, if you're not somebody who's has merge rights and you're merging, you're assigning your merge request to somebody else, it is very, very important to give that person context into why you're making those changes, because when that person merges those changes into the handbook, they are taking responsibility of saying, yes, I've checked this. Yes, it's clean code. Yes, it should be in the handbook. So without the context here within the description, it's really hard for somebody who may not be in your position to understand why you're making the changes, and then it'll just delay your MR from actually getting added to the handbook. So very important. This is second in importance from changing commit message, modifying the description of your MR to explain the why behind the what you're changing. And then you can just open your MR. So here we are, we're just gonna say creating all right, so that's basically what I'm doing. I have explained the why, not just the what. And I leverage slash commands. You can learn the slash commands by clicking here in the quick actions. And these are all the slash commands that you can possibly use within a comment or description box. And if you learn some of these, like, you will get really efficient at making comments, reassigning, working through your issues in MRs. So here we are, we're just gonna assign it to me. We're gonna add some labels, oops, there we go. And then this way, you also don't need to mess with any of this down here. And so then we just say submit. And there we are. So we've got the why, we've modified, like we've checked off that it does conform with the why, not just the what. And you'll see that the pipeline's immediately running. Down here, you can see that there's only been a single commit attributed to this MR so far. And you can actually see the changes that were made. So now that we've now got our branch, we've made our first commit. Now we need to go make additional changes on this exact same branch because we have more information to add. There's two ways to do it. Here you can click the little pencil and it'll take you directly into your file that you want to change, and it puts you right back on the branch where you need to be to make those changes. And so then we can just make our next commit from here. And we're gonna there we go. Keyboard decided to give out. So we're going to do this. We're going to say use case 1, and then we're going to add some text. And then we're going to change our commit message saying add use case 1 for the we don't need to change the target branch, and we just say commit changes. So by clicking the pencil, it takes you to the file. And then as soon as you hit commit changes, it takes you back to that merge request. So that's one way to continue to make changes on an MR. The other way to do it, if you have lots of changes and you don't want to be constantly coming back to this MR, you can click down into your branch just by clicking here, and then navigate to your breadcrumbs or to whatever other page you're needing to add information to, and just continue to make changes. So here we are, we're on the correct branch, and we're at the very beginning of the website repo. So now we're going to click source, and we're going to navigate down back to that page so we can continue making edits. And so here we are on that page. Oops, not web IDE, back up. There we go, click edit. And so you can see we have our section, our first change, and now our second change. And we're gonna do that. It is always best when you're doing like a numbered list, you do go 1, 1, 1, 1, because the system, GitLab Markdown, will actually modify it for you. So if we click preview, you'll see it does say 1, 2. The reason why you do 1, 1, 1, 1 is in case like you needed to add a new line. Let's say you have an ordered list from 1 to 10, and you decide, oh, hey, we need to add a new, like something between 5 and 6. You can just add that new line without having to reorder the rest of the list, because it is just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then as soon as you make that insert, the list itself, the Git code will actually just, and Markdown will just refactor it for you. So you do go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And so now we've got use case 2. There we go. Again, commit message, add use. Again, we're still on the same target branch and we just say commit changes. And so now you'll see that the difference here, because we clicked to our branch and navigated back down to our page, it's not going to take us back to the MR. But all the changes that we're making are getting attributed back to that MR. And so here you'll just see a confirmation message saying, hey, your changes have been committed successfully. And so now we can continue making edits on this page, or we can navigate back up or anywhere else in the handbook really, and just add other stuff. So let's say we need to come to the Marketo page, same thing, we're going to click edit. And let's say we're going to add a cross link here. So like tool uses, we're just going to make this a cross link. And we're going to say, and within the handbook, when you're going handbook page to handbook page, you do use relative links. You don't use absolute links. The main time that you do use absolute links is when you're creating templates, because a template doesn't have a reference point to understand where the core of the code and the files are sitting. So you do always use an absolute link in, there you go, when you're doing a template. But when you're doing handbook page to handbook page, it does understand that, hey, we're already on about.gitlab.com. Like these are the directories that you're now needing to navigate to. You can use other file formatting. So instead of having the /handbook marketing ops, like you could do the period where it's just saying, hey, you're going to stay within this directory and you're going to go up one and over one. If you understand that type of file structure, please feel free to use it. Otherwise, doing it this way makes it super easy for other people who are coming behind you who may not be as advanced in Markdown or coding of any kind. So here we've added a new link. So we're going to say add cross link to table tests page. All right, still same branch. We're making our commit. And we're going to get the confirmation at the very top. And let's say that now we are done making all our changes that we need to make into this commit. And because we assigned that MR to ourselves, you see this is now in a hyperlink because we added the URL. Because we assigned that to the MR to ourselves, it does show up here in our tray. And so we can just click this orange section, which takes us to our MRs. And we can click on the first one, which is where we're making our changes. And you can see that the pipeline's still running. You can see that you now have 4 commits, and each one of these commit messages tells you from a high level what was changed. You can check on all of your pipelines. So if for some reason this pipeline up here fails, you can click into the pipeline section and see which one specifically failed and drill down to find the error. And then here under changes, which is your diff, you can see the pages that you changed and what was changed. So here we added 3 lines of code. Here we actually modified a line of code. And the way the repository reads this is that we technically deleted the line of code that was here and we inserted a new line of code. It doesn't necessarily recognize that we just added a URL. It sees it as a deletion in addition. That's what the +1, -1 is. So if you don't have merge rights, you assign it to, by default, the ops person in your department. But if this impacts other teams or other team members, you do want their buy-in and sign off prior to assigning it to someone to merge. So you just come over to the discussions and you can tag them into it and be like, well, we're just going to tag myself. But you'd tag whoever and being like, hey, can you give this MR a look and add a thumbs up if good? And so then this person would get a notification. They could come in, they could look at your changes, be like, yep, this is awesome, great, thumbs up, done. And so since you've assigned it to yourself, you would get those notifications as well for any other activity that the person had done. So hopefully this helps as you create handbook changes and merge requests. If you have any questions, please reach out to the marketing ops team. We have a Slack channel. and any one of us would be more than happy to assist you. You can also schedule time on my calendar, and I'm more than happy to pair code, ride shotgun and watch as you work, and help you learn the navigation within the system, whatever helps make you feel more comfortable making these sorts of changes and contributing to GitLab. Thanks.